The garage door rattled shut behind me, and that was the last sound of home I ever heard. 12 years ago, my family threw me out with nothing. No money, no coat, no goodbye that meant anything. My father called it tough love. My mother just watched. My brother laughed, actually laughed, like watching me drag a garbage bag of clothes. Down the driveway was the funniest thing he'd seen all year. Tonight, that same family sat in my lobby, dressed in their best clothes, clutching a folder of paperwork, waiting to beg a stranger for a loan that could save what was left of them. They didn't recognize my name on the building. They definitely didn't recognize my face. I watched them through the glass of my office door, hearts pounding with hope, completely unaware that the owner they'd been rehearsing their apology for was the boy they'd erased. I straightened my tie. It was time to let them in. My name is Elias Cade, and for 18 years I was the son nobody planned for. My father, Richard, built a modest construction business and expected his firstborn, my brother Daniel, to inherit it. I was the afterthought, the quiet one, the one who read books instead of swinging hammers, the one my mother, Vivian, introduced to guests as our other son, like I was a footnote. I never fought for their approval. I just watched. I noticed how Daniel got the new truck at 16 while I got a bus pass. I noticed how my report cards disappeared into a drawer while his football trophies lined the mantel. I told myself it didn't matter. It did. The night they threw me out, it wasn't even about anything I'd done. It was about a business loan I refused to co-sign, one I quietly knew would sink us. My father called it betrayal. I called it the first honest thing I'd ever done in that house. I left with a duffel bag and $43. I never looked back. I built everything since then on a single, silent rule. Never explain yourself to people who never listened. The receptionist buzzed me. Mr. Cade, the Wren family is here for their 4 o'clock. I didn't move right away. I let the silence stretch the way I used to sit in my old bedroom listening to them talk about me like I wasn't down the hall. Through the frosted glass, I watched my father adjust his collar for the 3rd time, a nervous habit I remembered from every parent-teacher conference he'd skipped. My mother sat with her hands folded too tightly, her rings catching the light, rings that used to buy Daniel's cleats. Never my textbooks. Daniel leaned back like he still owned every room he walked into, though the cheap shine on his shoes told a different story. He's probably some cocky kid, Daniel muttered to no one, loud enough to carry. These finance guys always are. My mother gave a small, tired laugh. As long as he says yes, not as long as he's fair. Not as long as it's the right thing to do, just yes. I straightened my cufflinks, the same ones I'd bought with my first real paycheck, back when no one in that house believed I'd ever earn one. Then I opened the door. Mr. Cade will see you now, I said. My mother looked up first. Her eyes moved over me the way you glance at a stranger blocking a doorway. Polite, empty, already elsewhere. My father half rose out of habit, the reflex of a man greeting someone important. Daniel didn't look up from his phone at all. None of them saw me. They saw a suit. I walked to my desk and sat down across from them, the folder they'd prepared sitting untouched between us. For a moment, I let myself feel the old pull, the 12-year-old instinct to shrink, to make myself smaller so the room could hold Daniel's noise. I felt it rise in my chest like a tide. Then it passed. Just like that. I wasn't that boy on the driveway anymore, and I didn't need them to know it right away. I didn't need to announce myself. Didn't need the dramatic reveal I'd imagined 100 times in cheaper, angrier years. I just needed to watch them. Ask a man they didn't recognize for the one thing they never gave him. A chance. So, I said evenly, opening the folder, tell me why I should help you. The pen shook slightly in my father's hand. My father cleared his throat and launched into the pitch he'd clearly rehearsed. In the car. Cash flow problems. A lawsuit from a subcontractor, a bank that had already said no twice. I listened without interrupting, the way I'd trained myself to in 100 boardrooms. Let people talk. Let them show you exactly what they are. I already knew every number in that folder before he finished the sentence. My firm had quietly acquired the debt on Cade Construction 8 months earlier, back when it was just another distressed asset in a due diligence report. I hadn't known then that it was theirs. When I found out, I didn't sell it off. I didn't call a lawyer to gut them. I just held it. Waited. Some decisions don't need to be rushed. They need to be positioned. I slid a single sheet across the desk. Not a rejection. Not a rescue either. A restructuring proposal, fair on paper, but with one clause buried in plain language. Full financial transparency. Quarterly reviews. And my firm's right to appoint an advisor to the company's board. My father skimmed it and nodded, relieved. He didn't ask who the advisor would be. I already knew he wouldn't. My father signed first, his signature looser than I remembered. age softening what used to be a heavy, confident hand. My mother signed next, still not reading past the highlighted total. Daniel didn't sign anything. He never did, not even back then, when signatures meant responsibility. "Thank you," my father said. The words unfamiliar in his mouth, like a language he'd never bothered learning. "You don't know what this means." "I think I do," I said. Something in my voice made him pause. He looked at me properly for the first time. Really looked. The way you look at a word on the tip of your tongue. His eyes moved over my face, searching. I let him search. "You remind me of someone," he said slowly. "I get that a lot." I didn't tell him then. I didn't need the satisfaction of his shock in that moment. I'd already gotten something better. 3 weeks later, sitting in his first advisory meeting, he'd open a company directory to find the contact information for the board's new advisor. My name, my photo, my history, the abbreviated corporate version, no mention of driveways or duffel bags. He wouldn't need me to explain anything. The paperwork already had. I heard about it secondhand. The way you hear about weather in a city you no longer live in. My assistant mentioned that a Richard Cade had called the front desk 4 times in one afternoon, voice tight, asking to clarify some information from the board packet. I didn't take the calls. My mother sent an email instead. Careful, formal, nothing like the woman who used to introduce me as an afterthought. She asked if we could talk, as a family. I noticed she didn't say, as mother and son. Old habits, even in crisis, are hard to shed. Daniel never reached out at all. That told me more than any apology could have. I won't pretend there was no ache in it. Some nights I sat with the emails unanswered on my screen and felt 18 again, waiting for a car that never came back for me. Success doesn't erase that kind of memory. It just gives you somewhere steadier to stand while you carry it. I think that's the part people forget when they imagine revenge, as it was never about their humiliation. It was about no longer needing their permission to matter. That's a quieter kind of justice, but it's the only kind that actually lasts. I did eventually reply to my mother. One line, "I'm willing to meet, but not to pretend the last 12 years didn't happen." She hasn't answered yet. I'm not waiting on it the way I used to wait on things from that house. The restructuring is working. Cade Construction will survive, leaner and more honest than it ever was under my father's old habits. I still sit on that board. I still review those quarterly numbers, not out of obligation to them, out of respect for the version of myself who once believed he owed his family something he never actually got in return. Some people expected me to burn it all down, to watch them lose everything, the way I once lost a home, a name, a sense of belonging, all in one driveway. But real power was never in destroying them. It was in becoming someone their approval could no longer touch. I still keep the duffel bag, actually, folded in a closet in an apartment worth more than that entire house. Not as a trophy, as a reminder. They threw away a boy with nothing. They just never imagined that nothing would build everything, and that one day they'd be the ones standing in the doorway asking to come in.